Welcome to the City Council Workshop for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. Citizens may address the council regarding any item of city business that is not on tonight's agenda. The duration for an individual speaking under public input is limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody who would like to speak? Seeing none, we will move.
My name's David Bear. I'm at 1113 West 4th Street. I actually live in the county. And one thing that has bothered me for a long time with the city council and stuff, we in the county don't have any way to elect anybody in this room or have any say. And yet the city claims 1 mile jurisdiction outside the city limits. And I am completely against the facility going in where the state says it's going to go, no matter what.
Anybody else? Okay, now seeing no one, we'll move on to executive review. Planning resolution is a resolution of the City Council approving conditional approval of the preliminary plat of Laurel Industrial Park second filing subdivision. Forrest is up, so he must be talking.
I'll take donations to be quiet. Okay, I will keep this brief. Good evening, Mayor, Council. In your packet, you will have the planning board recommendation and all of the submittal information for Laurel Industrial Park second filing. The engineer of record is Sandbell and the owner of the property is Steve Solberg. The planning board did meet and review this project at their last planning board meeting. They recommended approval with 7 conditions. The issue that was identified by the planning board was concern with respect to the construction of improvements within the subdivision. The planning board changed the staff recommended condition 6 to read that at the time the first lot in the subdivision is developed, that all of the required sidewalk infrastructure would be installed for the balance of the subdivision. I understand the planning board's position and it's well intended, but the issue that is before us is if we require the infrastructure be built with the construction of the first lot, those other 3 lots in the subdivision are going to be driving across essentially residential sidewalks because we don't know where the subsequent owners are going to want their approaches and get the access standard sidewalk for that property. They're going to tear it up. We're essentially asking the developer to install infrastructure that we know is going to be destroyed through construction. It also is contrary to our requirement for the SIA, which will guarantee the installation of the required improvements through time. That's what your subdivision improvements agreement does. And because we require an SIA, the installation of all of the required improvements in order to build on lot 1 or file the final plat is in conflict with our subdivision regulations. Again, I understand their recommendation. I understand the logic behind it. The city of Laurel in the past, in the distant past, has had issues with getting the required infrastructure installed as each lot develops. That does not exist anymore. We have the tools in place. We have the contractual documents and we have a building inspector that won't issue building permits unless infrastructure is in place, or at least COs before infrastructure is built and in place. It is for that reason I bring to the city council, ultimately, the decision is yours. Your planning board has reviewed, you have your rules, you have your regulations, but city council, the decision is yours. The action of the city county planning board is advisory. You are the decision makers. And for your reference, I brought a copy just so you had the Montana code. If you would, Tom, send those down, and Sarah, send them down. That points out you have the statutory authority to change the conditions of approval without remanding the matter back to the planning board. They are your advisors. They've done the heavy lifting. They've had their hearing, they've discussed it, and they've recommended an action. I submit to you that action is probably unduly harsh. And I'm here to represent the planning board. But when the recommendation puts us in a position where I know in my heart of hearts that infrastructure is going to be destroyed, we're going to ask people to pay for it twice. That's not right. And when I say pay for it twice, if the price of the lot is $100,000 and we make them build the sidewalk with lot one, the price of all those subsequent lots is going to go up, reflecting the cost of that sidewalk infrastructure. It's going to get destroyed through construction, and then we're going to make them install it again. We're double dipping. In my mind, council, that's not fair. But again, I understand they're well intended. We want to see that infrastructure in place. It's timing, but I submit we have the tools. Hence, the request I made of the city attorney for the council's conditions of approval were to revert back to what the staff recommendation was. Have an engineer design the entirety of the sidewalk, and each lot, as they develop, build the sidewalk. They won't get their CO from the building inspector unless they do so. We have the tools. Let's use them is essentially my recommendation without unduly driving the cost of lot development up within the city of Laurel. Lots in Laurel are already expensive enough, in my opinion. With that, it's a 4-lot, second filing subdivision. It meets with our zoning. It meets with our lot sizes. It's in infill within the city of Laurel. It's a good thing. The rub is the condition of approval, but that is your decision. I would answer any questions now. I will be here for your action next week. If you develop a question between then and now, I will be available to answer it. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. So what would that look like next week at voting then? If it's a yes, but is that kind of how it would go if someone wanted to go with the staff recommendation on those sidewalks?
Councilmember McKay, no. The resolution I requested the city attorney draft, and I did review it. Thank you, Michelle. It met with what the staff recommendation was initially to the planning board. So your motion, if you were so inclined to follow that recommendation, would be to adopt the resolution as presented. The language is already there.
Thank you, Forrest.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilmember Closey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So could that motion be amended to leave out that sidewalk condition?
Councilmember Closey, no. The requirement to install the infrastructure has to be in the conditions to comply with our subdivision regulation. The change deals with the timing of when that infrastructure would be built.
No, I mean the whole thing when the first one was built. Can that be amended so that only, as you say, as one lot is sold, then the sidewalk is put in place?
Yes, Councilmember Closey, the initial staff recommendation to the planning board was as the lots develop, the infrastructure would be built incrementally in accordance with the engineer's design. I apologize, I didn't understand your question.
Any other questions? Thank you, Forrest.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Steve here. Do you have anything to say, Steve? Are you good?
My name is Steve Solberg, and my home address is 3513 Prestwick Road in Billings. And as the developer, we understand that it needs to be done right. And if you look at my past history of developing properties in Laurel, they're done right. We try to make them first class. And the problem with putting sidewalk in for everybody is that if we sell a lot and it gets developed, and the other lots are sold, how can you justify me, who am building on the first lot, infringing on other people's property to put in a sidewalk? And like Forrest said, it's going to get done regardless. The final checkpoint is a certificate of occupancy. If you don't comply, you don't get your certificate. So it'll get done. Thank you.
Any questions for Steve? Thank you. Okay, next we're gonna move to council issues. We have a finance issue. Discussion of records request fees. Is this yours?
Were you going to speak on that, Michelle? Did you want to speak on? No, I don't know.
Gurjeet.
I'll speak briefly on this. Last week I sent out I did not receive the public records requests. They were sent to me from council members receiving public records requests. And so we do have an obligation that we do need to respond within 5 days. I responded within 5 days to the 2 people that wanted them, asked for them. One of those people asked for what the fees were going to be before we started. We put together a very rough estimate, as what was noted in the letter. It was a very rough estimate as to what the fees would be. After reviewing the legislative changes that we anticipated were coming into effect July 2026, we did not see one line on there that read we had to use, instead of using subsection 2, we have to use subsection 1, which then incurred that the fees have changed for you two that have gone in there. We do have to, we did change your estimates. That's why they were estimates. There are still fees for staff. There's still fees for IT for looking. There's still fees if attorney fees are needed. Like I said, they're real rough estimates. We have asked the 2 if they would like the records request changed down a little bit to change what they're asking for, to maybe make the request not so broad, so we're not looking for so many emails. And we have not heard back from either one of the 2 that have put those requests in. So at this point, it's been my understanding since I was out on vacation that the constituents have asked for possibly dismissing the fees. That is not my decision. My decision is to bill the fees no different than a business license, a cemetery lot, anything like that. So I believe that's where the discussion has come up on this agenda. Like I said, I'm kind of in the dark because I was gone. So I apologize for that. I've tried to go through all the emails to see where we're at. And so I think, council, if you have questions or what your thoughts are, because that's where I left off from when I was here. So I just wanted to kind of fill you in that we did, and I apologize. It was our mistake. We're human. We have adjusted those quotes to the 2 individuals. They have not received those quotes yet because we were waiting to hear what we have heard from what you guys are just want to discuss tonight regarding the schedule, the records request fees.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. Can you share what those new estimates are? Thank you.
So for the, for Shauna Hopper, your new estimate is $1,200. Like I said, if you want to deem down what you're asking for, that would, affect that. And also, we had not received any bills from our IT department. So on the first request, we had just anticipated it would be $150 an hour for them to look. It's $135. So we have changed that. And then we also took the fees down to make sure that they meet MCA, which includes, we can't charge any more than $25 an hour. And there is can't be any more than a $5 fee for asking for the request. So we tipped everything back down to what they requested. I do have those. I can hand them to the two individuals. You know, after we worked on this, we've been weeding through things and got this to, I wanted to make sure they had it by tonight. So, and then the other one, I believe it was 1,900 we sent to you, Cheryl? And it's 1,050 is what we then came back to. But some of the things that you're asking, I will just be honest, are real broad. And so if we can just maybe narrow it down a little bit, that would really help us as far as going through the emails as well. So we do have those. So we did, and like I said, I apologize for the mistake on our part. We misread it. Didn't think it was going to go into effect until July of 26, and it did go into effect October 1st of this year, other than our schedule of fees, which is what we were running the fee schedule off of, has not been brought back to you as council. We are working on it. It came across a couple weeks ago for everybody to look at the fee schedule and whatever. So we have noted this so that our fee schedule will match what MCA reads.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there already a precedent for charging fees for this type of records request? Is this a common fee that we're charging and taking in the funds?
So it is on our schedule of fees, which means that we should be doing it. If there are records requests and the hours and stuff are not given to me, or I'm not aware that there's a request, then those particular people have not been billed.
Council?
I guess me again. So I think for my thought on this, because I definitely thought the original estimate was pretty high. This seems more reasonable because it does take staff time. It does take effort to do these kinds of things. I think it should be bounced back to the ones that requested it and see how they're feeling about that. If they want to narrow their terms or coordinate so that there's only one. That would be kind of what my feeling is on this particular issue.
Other council? Okay, thank you. Now we move on to the attorney, discussion on emergency ordinance proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of the discussion tonight is to update council and the public on where we're sitting with regard to the proposals that have come forward in the course of the last, I believe, week and a half from the public in relationship to emergency ordinances. The bulk of analyzing these issues for obvious reasons has been something that I've been tasked with doing because they are legal in nature. There's significant legal ramifications to the decisions made by City Council in relationship to both of the proposals that the public has come forward with. One I was generally familiar with in my city work because I've had some exposure to it, and that's specifically related to the moratorium on annexation. But I needed time to do further work into digging into the case law that I'm familiar with, which the last situation that I was familiar with was involving the city of Missoula, a moratorium on annexation as it relates to East Missoula. So I needed to update whether there'd been any appeal issues from that particular case, as well as whether there were any new ones. And I have undertaken that work. I likewise have done a substantial amount of work in analyzing the zoning proposal emergency ordinance that the public has come forward with. I'm at the point that I'm ready to make a recommendation, at least from my office to City Council, for this to be put on the next City Council agenda cycle. Obviously, it's up to the mayor to decide what is put on the agenda, but I'm at the point to make a staff recommendation with regard to what can be moved forward in relationship to these proposals that I think would allow not only public concern to be addressed in relationship to further growth in Laurel, but also what the annexation path is for the city. I also have had meetings with the CAO and our planner regarding these issues to make sure that we were all on the same page of what would be recommended. So it's, this is essentially an update to the public that it would be my hope that I will have a staff report prepared that can go on this next council agenda cycle for council to consider a potential emergency ordinance.
Questions? Councilmember McKay?
Thank you. Not necessarily a question on this particular thing, 'cause I'm very interested to see what the attorney brings to us. But I did want to share as we look at the agenda and we look at the next few cycles, so we vote next week on this planning resolution, but anything that's voted, or the next workshop, and then the next voting meeting, which is March 24th, 3 of us will be absent. Myself, Councilmember Banks, and Councilmember Naylor. We all have kids in band concerts. So it would be my request that nothing of that substance be placed for that meeting. But if the rest of the group was amenable, maybe looking at a special session, another night or another time, something like that could possibly be an option since the 3 of us will be absent on the 24th.
Is it possible to fast track this?
I'm sorry. This is not ready for council decision next Tuesday. These are significant legal issues and council needs time to have a workshop to discuss these issues. I also believe the public needs to give feedback on the staff recommendations made on this issue as you have to date. And I will tell you, I personally have gone through every drop of the materials that the public has presented. And it's been very detailed and very well thought out. And I believe that there is a clear path forward, but I believe that requires participation from all council members to vote on this type of significant issue, as well as for the public to be able to give feedback on my recommendation. Pushing this to next week without workshop discussion on this, I do not believe would be appropriate. As far as the following cycle, we have often, because of council members' absence, held special meetings. I certainly have no objection to that. And in fact, I believe that with issues of this significance, it might be appropriate to have a meeting devoted entirely to this topic. And I certainly would make myself available. As I've said, we've held special meetings in the past. They would be noticed just like any public meeting. What will go out, what I anticipate at least to go out in next week's packet would allow space in between workshop and the next public meeting, the 24th, I believe, that if we wanted to hold a special meeting in between after workshop, I think probably we could get that scheduled in. But yes, I do not believe voting on issues of this significance should occur without as many of our council members present as possible and the public having fully noticed what at least my office's recommendations will be on this issue.
Is that good?
I'm certainly willing to schedule in a special session. I think with enough notice, I'm hoping that my counterparts will also agree to that. So I think a special session, and if that's amenable to the public as well. Thank
Okay.
you.
Councilmember President Canopy.
So that would be the 17th, am I correct, of March?
So the voting meeting that would ordinarily be scheduled for the cycle after this would be the 24th. And from what I'm hearing, Councilmember McKay mentioned, there will at least be 3 council members not present at that time. So I believe there's a couple of options available to us as far as setting the agenda. We hold workshop on the 17th that will have fully noticed by the 14th, my office's recommendations on a path forward. That will allow the public time to prepare for workshop city council members present on the 17th for workshop to discuss issues. And then I believe a public meeting notice to actually vote on the issue of an emergency ordinance could occur between the 17th and the 24th. Did that make sense? Sorry, I had to
Yeah,
turn and
thank you,
look
it
at the
did.
calendar.
Yeah, thanks.
Are you gone all week or just that night?
No, it's just that night as the band concert is the 24th. So could it be in that week of the 23rd? Is that okay? I mean, I don't know if you want to throw out ideas or anything like that, but just not Monday.
Not Monday,
So.
but they won't be here.
Yeah, so my recommendation would be for a special meeting that occur the 18th, 19th, 20th, or 23rd. Because my concern would be about going into a public meeting on the 24th when we have not held a special public meeting on this particular issue beforehand, is that it will look like a carryover agenda item. It arguably would be, and then council would not be present to vote on it. So I think coming up with a date that would work between workshop and the public meeting on the 24th for a special meeting would be appropriate. And again, like I said, I think that would allow, I don't know what will be on next week's cycle, and we often don't know that until kind of maybe the week that things are developing before workshop. But I believe a meeting just devoted to this subject would be appropriate. But I also believe that everyone needs time to review the work that I've done so that if you disagree with that work or have further feedback to provide, you have a public setting to provide that. At the point that I'm at in what I intend to recommend to be included in the staff report, I feel very comfortable about that. But also, again, I have no, idea of what the public's perception of my office's recommendations will be. And I think everyone needs time. As I said, I know everyone wants a solution right now, to a lot of pending issues, but it's very important that the manner in which this is approached is wise, has long-term foresight, and is legally defensible. And so it's important, at least from my office's perspective, for everyone to have time after our agenda is pushed out next week to review things.
I think Councilmember Wilkie, did you have something?
I did. I did. Thank you. I was thinking, the 31st is a fifth week that we could probably move it to there, but I'm understanding from the city attorney's scheduling that it needs to be done before the 24th or a voting date that would be in that week. So I'm guessing just about anything except for Mondays at this point, because there's two meetings on both those Mondays, the 16th and the 23rd.
Councilmember McKay?
I was just going to throw out Friday, the 20th. Just throw out a solid date.
Councilmember Naylor?
Thank you. I was gonna throw out the 19th as an option the night prior. I am unavailable the 20th, but yeah.
Well, let me say, go home and check your schedules. Make sure everything's okay. Next week is still early, soon enough to come up with the date that you want. And then we'll schedule that in as a special meeting. So we can make sure everybody is there. So does that work? Chris, did you have something to say along these lines?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank red means on, right? Just want to, Chris Fogley, 306 East 4th Street, Laurel. Thank the council for taking the time to accept and read what we gave you and to hear us. That's really all we really wanted to do. Attorney Brockman, thank you for asking us questions and asking us for documents and just kind of understanding us. That's probably one of the things I think that's probably helped a lot is just seeking to understand. And I think we probably didn't do enough of that at the beginning. But all of us were kind of caught off guard. I know you were too. So you got time to digest this as well. But I think that Attorney Brockman hopefully will come up with some great solutions for us. And I think both are really important. The moratorium is extremely important so that you can review your growth policy and make sure that everything west of here that is going to be the easiest development property for us and the most taxes, and it's 114 acres is about, I don't know, 1/10 of the size of Laurel. Think about that for tax revenue. And so, if you give it away to somebody that's not going to pay you taxes and use your services, you're going to have to find something else. And there's not going to be $600,000 houses building up around it, that's for sure. So I just want to thank you for hearing us, and thank you for moving forward to at least consider the emergency ordinances. And I think it's right that there's only needs to be really one reading for emergency ordinance, right? So, yeah. So, okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, Brittany. There will be a public hearing for it. Okay. Under other items, Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. I have a statement here that I'm going to read here. It's a statement on behalf of all 8 of us council members. And it is directed to Governor Greg Gianforte, BOI Director Dan Vila, and DPHHS Director Charles Brereton. Greetings from Laurel City Council. We are 8 elected officials in a small, hardworking, thoughtful community. We wish to speak directly to you, public servant to public servant. The last few months have been chaos in our town due to your efforts to place a forensic mental health facility in the midst of our community. Despite an opening statement on the state's House Bill informational website claiming, quote, stakeholder input and local engagement are priorities. DPHHS and BOI will work collaboratively with communities to ensure informed planning and responsible site selection, end quote. And the governor's prompting to the BOI and DPHHS to be public about the process and reassurances that the facility would not be built where it wasn't wanted. The state has been pushing ahead with the intent of building the facility just west of Laurel and disregarding public input and outcry. To date, the Laurel City Council nor Laurel citizens have had no meaningful engagement with any state officials regarding this topic. While we recognize the role our executive branch may have played in early talks, we want to remind you of your commitment to our constituents. Thus far, your promises appear to be misleading, if not complete falsehoods. It should be noted that your efforts have galvanized a grassroots effort comprised of concerned and educated citizens. They are digging into this issue and carefully evaluating your methods. They have raised countless legitimate concerns and have sought avenues for public comment and engagement. It would be wise to engage with these voters and make them a part of your process. This letter in no way presupposes any Laurel City Council members vote if we are tasked with decisions about Laurel's growth policy, annexation, or zoning. This council is committed to weighing the options set before us and listening to our constituents who are, in fact, our friends and neighbors. Sincerely, Council President Tom Canopy, Council Vice President Richard Closey, Council Member Brent Edgmond, Council Member Casey Wheeler, Council Member Sarah Naylor, Council Member Jessica Banks, Council Member Irv Wilkie, and Council Member Jody McKay. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, attendance at the upcoming meeting? Everybody's going to be there?
Did you want?
I was about the public record.
Hi, thank you. My name is Shauna Hopper, 504 Brown House. Although I do appreciate the reconsideration of fees, like I stated last week, these are not items that we are requesting for personal use and for and for our personal use, and I guess this information we're requesting is for the negligence on the city of Laurel and its employees more specifically, CAO Markegard and Dave Wagner. These two men have violated, or at least Mayor Wagner has violated, MCA 3-2-1003 and deleted text messages that Kurt has already provided us. This continues to show the city and its city employees disregard for what the constituents of this community are asking for. And it shows that you're still having things to hide. Kelly, in your response to Cheryl and I, there's been other public records requests made. I have one here specifically on my phone sent to me 5 minutes ago that never received a bill. Never received one communication from you. That shows retaliation and discrimination against the two of us. Each and every one of us should be receiving those same bills. So the fact that everybody is not getting that same thing is not fair. It's not fair to the community. What you guys are doing is continuing to divide this community between you guys and the constituents because you're hiding stuff and you're not doing things fair and straight across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to take an opportunity to share with you hunter education course for Laurel, the fall class. Registration and orientation is on the 16th. The class will run from the 23rd through the 27th. The number right now for the registration is at 35. Am I right, Ron? 39. We generally hold our classes to 40, but if there's some more people, we'll try to squeeze them in. The field course is on the 28th at Yellowstone Bowman's Archery Range out west of town. That date or that time for the students to arrive there will be issued during the week of class. So if there's any issues with getting registered and stuff, get a hold of Ron Waller. He's in the audience tonight. He's the lead instructor. So I just wanted to pass that along so everybody's got it. Thank you.
What was the month?
March. All those dates are in March.
Okay, so it's his spring. Thank you. Council President Canopy.
I do want to make an announcement that we do have a tree board, park board meeting. It will be held here at 5:30 this Thursday.
Any other announcements?
I apologize. Just one more thing. We're going to try to make an effort where the tree went away towards the library. We're thinking on this park board well, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, that there was a donation for that tree way back. And we're going to look into putting a park bench there instead of a tree. That will be at this meeting if you're interested in coming as a public. Also, we do have, I believe Shannon Curry is coming to speak to us about the splash board a little bit and have some improvements she wants to make. That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have one thing. You guys received an email from me from the, regarding Dan Clark coming from the local government center. We have scheduled him for Wednesday, March 11th from 5:30 to 9. It's a big time frame, depending on what you guys all want to discuss during that meeting, or learn about from Dan Clark. Could be less time than that, but we did schedule from 5:30 to 9 on March 11th.
Anything else, council? Nothing else. We are adjourned.